Astra'Luma, why is it that so many relationships are formed through shared wounds? And how can we evolve to connect from a higher frequency of love and wholeness?
It is within the wounds that one feels vulnerable, and within this vulnerable space of sharing, creates a connection. This is the way that the two-strand DNA system, or a distorted experience, creates connection through the wound itself. This does not mean that it is not viable. Creating a connection in vulnerability, where it gets in the way, is when the wounds that have been shared become a responsibility to the other person. Meaning, if a wound is shared and the other person then becomes responsible of taking care of that wound or protecting that wound, is when the vulnerability becomes another wound in itself. Through the sharing, there should be an understanding that it is simply to create a connection through vulnerability. It is then within that vulnerability that each person is aware of one's wounds. This awareness then allows the opening of ascension, allowing each holding the wound to be responsible. Within the intimacy or the vulnerability of the sharing, it allows the other to hold space for the ascension to happen, meaning the other person can move into a wound, be held in a container of love, allowing one to ascend beyond the wound through the reflection of ascension, or the possibility of what is beyond that. This is one way of connecting and ascending within a relationship. It is just as important to create a container of vulnerability, of stretching oneself into the possibilities, the unknown, for this is just as vulnerable. Achieving vulnerability through the space of pushing oneself into the unknown, sharing the vulnerability of what it feels like to move into possibility, into the unknown, and allow the vulnerability within a relationship to support the uncomfortability of that, both within the exploration of a relationship and in personal life. This too is an ascension of relationship. So it is not that sharing vulnerabilities and wounds is bad. It is what comes after that creates either more wounding or the ascension of the wound altogether.